Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got some more mock draft videos to help you guys out with your redraft season. Again, we are already in week 1 of the preseason. Hopefully you guys got to catch some games. There were some good games to go. Got to see some rookies play. Got to see some new players on new teams, which is always exciting. And again, that is going to be the sign that mock draft and regular drafts are starting to happen for you in your fantasy world. So again, hopefully this videos, all of them have been able to help you guys out, kind of seeing where players are going, falling, maybe they're coming up in their ADP. Hopefully this helps you out. Now, this is the 9th spot of a 10-team league. Let's check it out. All right, as you can see here, I'm in the 9th spot of a 10-team full PPR league. And of course, if there are other different types of formats, please hit me up in the comments down below. I'd love to get some different types of formats out there to help you guys out, whether it be 2QB, super flex, tight end premium. Maybe it's an 8-team, 16-team, whatever it is, I want to help you guys out. For those who have already put in requests in the comments, I will be getting those videos out to you this week to hopefully get you guys ready for your drafts that are going on. Now, in the 9th spot, as you can see, most of the time you're going to probably get maybe a Breece Hall or a Bijan possibly in this spot, or again, Amon-Ra, something like that. The way these drafts kind of go, you just never know. Typically, that's where you're going to see a wide receiver, or like I said, a Bijan Robinson towards the end of the draft. Now, in this one, you saw CeeDee Lamb go 101, McCaffrey 102, and then obviously top tier receivers. Bijan at the 5th spot, it's a little bit early. I think I tend to see him fall a little bit later, just like I would say Breece Hall. So with that said, those guys are gone. So I can't go to that running back hero that I always love to try to go. That's typically my strategy when it comes to my mock drafts or my drafts in general. Wide receiver, there's nothing wrong with that. And with that said, I'm going to grab AJ Brown here. AJ Brown is a top wide receiver. He's not obviously a top 5 quite yet in the fantasy world. He has games that are like that. He has had some amazing games, and maybe with Kellen Moore for the Philadelphia Eagles will allow him to have that type of success this year. But he does have Devonta Smith to worry about. He still now has the newcomer in Saquon Barkley. And of course, Jalen Hurts, unfortunately, is more of a typical running quarterback. He hasn't fully developed in that passing quarterback that I would like to see out of him if I'm an AJ Brown owner. Now you see the 2 receivers go here, Puka and Garrett Wilson. I still think those are a little early for these guys. I know everyone's hyped up on Garrett Wilson. I know people are hyped up on Puka Nacua. Nacua is dealing with an injury. It's now his 2nd year. We'll see how he plays out. I think he was phenomenal. I had him in a lot of my dynasty, but this isn't a bad draft here. Now, with that said, because there's a running back here that I love, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be my 2nd round pick there. So now I've got my hero running back with a premier wide receiver, and I feel really good going into the mock draft in this one. That's typically the strategy. If I'm going to be in the 5th spot, like you see here, hero running back is a good play because now you get a receiver. But in this spot, in the later end of the half, get a receiver and a running back, and you'll feel pretty set for the rest of this draft going forward because you've got to hit your 1st and 2nd round. Now in the 3rd round, I'm going to typically go and try to grab another running back and then a receiver on the back end. So with that, I'm going to go Pacheco. I like Derrick Henry as well. That's actually a good one too. I'm going to go Pacheco because I love the offense. I love what this Kansas City team can do. Pacheco showed off really well last season. I'm not expecting him to be an RB1. I want him on that fringe of RB1, but really an RB2 that's going to put up points, maybe some potential there. And then on the swing there, I'm going to grab another player, and I'm going to grab Deebo Samuel. He's a little bit of a risk. DJ Moore's a good pick too. You can go there, or Malik Neighbors as well. I went Deebo because there is still a chance Brandon Ayuk gets traded. And if he does, Deebo Samuel's value absolutely skyrockets. Now, if Brandon Ayuk stays, I still think Deebo Samuel is very valuable. He's utilized in many different ways in that 49ers offense, but I will still grab Deebo Samuel's there. So I've got 2 receivers, 2 running backs. Maybe I go quarterback. Maybe I go tight end. In my case, I'm going to hold off on the tight end. I'm going to grab another wide receiver here. And I'm going to grab DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. Perfect spot there. He's my wide receiver 3/flex. Good bye week filler. And still somebody that has the ability to be a wide receiver 2 whenever I need him to be. Even though obviously that Seattle offense isn't as good as they once were. But now, new coaching staff, we'll see how things play out this year. And Geno Smith has a lot to play for because they brought in Sam Howell, and maybe they brought him in to possibly replace him. We'll see how things play out. So You saw the running back here. Anthony Richardson's a good play here. I'm going to go into the strategy of grabbing a quarterback later on. I don't want to grab a quarterback too early, but I am going to fill out the rest of this roster of my premier positions. Tight end is tempting. Pitts, Kincaid, really great options there. I'm actually going to go to the solid play of grabbing another running back, and I'm going to go and grab. Actually, I'm going to grab Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is in a good spot. We'll see how he plays out in this Saints offense. There's a chance he could possibly even be traded. But I think Alvin Kamara as my third running back is a good spot because he does receive a lot, especially in full PPR. He obviously hasn't gotten those 1,000-yard rushing yards, but I don't need him to be that. I need him to be the guy who's getting 70 to 80 catches a season, which is what I'm hoping for. Now, a lot more quarterbacks are starting to go. Obviously, tight ends are starting to go. I can still grab a tight end in the 8th to possibly 9th round. In this round, I'm going to grab the best available player. And in this case, I'm actually going to go Ramondre Stevenson. I'm half tempted to go DeAndre Swift there because I think Swift is going to be great in this Bears offense. I think he's in a perfect position, but Ramondre Stevenson is the offense for the New England Patriots, and I think he's going to be utilized quite often. I'm going to grab my tight end here in Evan Ingram, who is a top-tier tight end. He doesn't get treated like that for whatever reason in the fantasy world, but he is a premier tight end. He's one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite players and targets. I'm going to keep drafting him if he's there every single time. So I feel pretty good about this team and some of my backups. Now it's going to be filling out, obviously, my quarterback eventually, and then, again, depth. Now, quarterbacks you can find a lot later. Again, if you want to play that route, you could go with Jordan Love here, and grab somebody a little bit early. I still think I can get a good quarterback later on. So I'm going to fill out the rest of my roster here. I'm going to grab Deontay Johnson, who I think is going to be heavily targeted this season. He's one of my favorite sleepers going into the season. I know the Panthers don't have a team that is super exciting to watch, or really a lot of people are excited to see. But with this offense being now really led by Canellis coming from Tampa Bay, I think he did a great job with the Bucs. I think he can bring some of that to the Carolina Panthers. And so, again, grabbing the best possible players available, I'm actually going to grab Austin Eckler. Nick Chubb and Jonathan Brooks are really tempting, but I'm going to grab Austin Eckler because I think there's a potential of him having plenty of targets. In preseason, he did get a lot of the red zone action, and with Jaden Daniels being there as someone who is someone to worry about because of the ability to maybe bootleg off or, again, be a rushing threat, I think Eckler's value just skyrocketed right there. So I'm going to grab him there. Now I'm going to grab another player here. Now, this is a little odd from my typical draft. I'm going to hope to grab Jaden Daniels in the next round. I'm going to grab TJ Hawkinson here. Now, Hawkinson is going to be later on in the fantasy world because of his injury coming back, and it's a pretty significant injury, but when he comes back, he's still a top 5 tight end in fantasy and in the league. So I don't need him right now. And grabbing him here, I don't mind taking that risk. Now I'm going to grab my quarterback, which is Jaden Daniels. I talked him up before. Stacking up with Eckler's here is great. And Jaden Daniels looked really good in his first fantasy game. I know it's just preseason, but Jaden Daniels, I have really high hopes for. Really good in LSU. He was a premier quarterback in college league. I think his rushing ability, his arm looks really good. I'm excited for Jaden Daniels, not as a Cowboys fan, but definitely in the fantasy space. So I'm going to grab one more depth piece here, and then obviously my kicker and defense. So, and the depth piece here, I'm going to actually grab Xavier. I'll go Khalil Shakir. I think he still has some value in the Buffalo Bills, and he was targeted pretty quickly in the offense. And again, we're talking preseason, but I still think that was a good move. I'm actually going to go flip this and grab a defense. I'm going to grab the 49ers. Jets are a good option too as well, but I think the 49ers defense is still one of the best in the league. If you're looking for turnovers, Dallas Cowboys have been a really good team that gets turnovers. And then like I mentioned, obviously the Jets, they've got amazing defensive players. Now I'm going to grab my kicker. Obviously, we're towards the end. I'm going to grab the Miami kicker and Jason Sanders because, again, you want to grab a team that is going to score points and get down the field, and Jason Sanders is on the perfect team for that. All right, so that is my mock draft for the 9th spot of a 10-team league. If you guys have any questions about drafting, any questions about different formats, again, hit me up in the comments down below. If you thought this was a great video or didn't think it was a great video, let me know as well. Of course, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you guys hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We've got a lot of content coming up for the rest of the season, so you want to stay tuned to help you guys win this upcoming season. Check out our other content, and I'll check you guys out next time.